Exciting announcement. We now have a new product called In-Perium. So, a little bit about In-Perium, very different approach to some of the other things, or maybe more similar to X3 in that initially the idea of this is something I created for myself. Um, and here's why. So, Imperium is either a pre-workout or a coffee replacement, or could be both, depending on how your day goes. But I do a few different things or have done some things and recommended some things that aren't the most convenient. For example, I used to put butter and MCT oil in my coffee and then put that in a blender and drink that. So that became an appetite suppressant and because of the MCT oil. And then there was caffeine in it. So it would give me some energy. Also, another appetite suppressant. Those worked well together, but that whole process is kind of a mess. And like one time I went to Saudi and they took my hand blender away from me because they just do that. They don't like anything. And there's a lot of other countries like that too. So it just became this hassle. And then traveling with butter and trying to keep it from melting in your bag was just like crazy. And you can't really find grass fed butter without salt in like a lot of other places. And so just like an incredible hassle. And so I thought, okay, I got to come up with something that's better. So here's what we came up with. Now, this is a powder that mixes in water, and you can mix it in hot water or cold water, doesn't matter. I prefer hot water. My team at the Jake Bush Biomedical Office thinks I'm nuts, and they like to mix it in cold water. So either way, it mixes just fine. It's got medium chain triglycerides for appetite suppression. It has caffeine and coffee bean extract, which is a lot easier on the stomach when those things are mixed together. It's the other thing. When I stopped carrying all the butter and MCT coffee stuff, I started just drinking black coffee, and I like perpetually had an upset stomach. Just I don't know anybody drinks like a tall black coffee or a venti black coffee from Starbucks. It can be a little hard on your stomach, and you don't end up feeling great, and then you have a crappy workout. So the MCT and the caffeine, the coffee bean extract, and then another thing I would always try and have on hand in case I felt a little bit dehydrated. Now the lifestyle that is recommended to go along with X3 is a low carbohydrate lifestyle. So this means you have to be on point with electrolytes. That's not always easy, especially like if you're traveling or you go out to dinner with friends and you end up at some restaurant that barely serves anything that you would call food, which happens to me all the time. You need to make sure that you got the proper hydration. So we have some electrolytes in here also. So it's really a combination of a couple of things that now become very easy because the powder just mixes in a water. You get 200 milligrams of caffeine with each serving, which is not a ton because I think some of the products out there are over caffeinated. And then a lot of the pre workouts also have sucralose, which is completely toxic, and other artificial sweeteners. And then electrolytes also typically come with all kinds of uh, phony sugar, toxic stuff, just chemical garbage and or sugar. So now we can sort of have it all. You get the fasting support, the proper hydration, the caffeine and the appetite suppressant, all in one drink. You might have one first thing in the morning. You might have one at maybe 11, and then do your workout a little bit after lunchtime. Everyone knows I don't eat lunch, but maybe 2 o'clock or something like that. That's when the workout rolls along, and you end up feeling fantastic. Stomach feels on point, great, very high energy, no upset stomach to interrupt your workout, and it ends up being a great addition to the X3 lifestyle.